Recently I did my first F1 manager experiment where I cleared the entire F1 grid of the drivers and waited to see who would sign for who. And what we found out was that the game was coded to put the highest rated drivers in the best cars. And so I'm going to try again, but this time everybody is rated 99. Hi folks, welcome back to another F1 Manager experiment. My name's Aaron, this is AHGP, and we are back with Williams, and we have an empty grid once more. If you missed the first iteration of this experiment, click the link up here somewhere. I have used my database editor to make every F1 driver 99 rated. So even Lance Stroll is rated 99, Zhou Guanyu 99, Nick de Vries 76 because we're not including him in this. I did make Daniel Ricciardo 99 rated as well. Sargent is 99 rated, and as are Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, Alonso, the likes. So I'm going to do two different experiments in this video, and the first one we're going to use an empty grid and we're going to assign 3 Formula 2 drivers to take up 2 of the race seats and 1 of the reserve driver roles, and then we're going to run 3 simulations of that and see what happens. So first things first, let's sign some drivers. Alright, starting with Théo Pourchaire from Formula 2, of course ART Grand Prix driver and 2023 F2 technically world champion, although I'm not sure they'll recognise it as a world championship, but hey ho, it does qualify as one. We're going to be limited by certain factors within this. Obviously, I think every F2 driver will want an F1 seat, and we can probably sign anybody we want, but they have to have completed at least 1 season in F3 and 1 season in F2. So we might not be able to get the likes of Ollie Behrman or Victor Martins to sign for us, but we might, but it doesn't really matter because we're not going to be playing any races in this. So let's see what Théo Pourchaire says to this proposal, and he joins the team. There we go, that's job done. Théo Pourchaire is now a Williams driver. Let's have a look at this. We've got Ronald Fellows, who's just immediately replaced Théo Pourchaire. ART did not hang around in there. So here you can see on the right hand side that Ronald Fellows cannot race in F1 because they have to be at least 18 or have competed at least 2 F2 or F3 seasons. So he's unavailable. And you can see here Brad Benavides, Kush Miney, Zane Maloney, all not qualified. Ollie Behrman, Jack Doohan, we could sign. Clement Novalak, we could sign Hauger. Let's go with Jack Doohan. Right, there's the contract for Jack Doohan. What does he say? Is he joining us from Alpine? He is. That was easy. And we also need to sign a reserve driver. We'll sign Ralph Boschung because he's been in F2 a long time. No, he declined it. He would like a signing bonus and he wants more time. Okay, interesting. Hopefully Boschung accepts this contract. There you go. Ralph Boschung's our reserve driver. So we are all set then on the grid. Here's how everything looks. We've got Pourchaire and Doohan in F1, but they're obviously not rated anywhere near as highly as the rest of the grid. But this is where the fun starts. So I'm going to save here and we're going to see where everybody else ends up. The last time I did this, I kind of expected the top drivers to end up back in the top seats, but now everyone literally is the top driver. So this could get mighty interesting, and honestly, I don't know who's going to end up where. I have no idea how the game's going to interpret this, but let's find out. Test 1 then. Let's see where everybody's ended up. We fast forward. We've advanced a few days. Let's see who's ended up where. Wow. Okay, this is already very, very interesting. Max Verstappen has gone to McLaren. Okay, Leclerc and Perez are at Red Bull. George Russell's gone to Ferrari. Carlos Sainz returns to Alpine. Lewis Hamilton has gone to Haas. What is going on? Aston Martin have spent the big bucks on Lando Norris. Ocon ends up at AlphaTauri. Fernando Alonso's at Alfa Romeo. And Bottas is at Ferrari. This is incredible. Ricciardo partners Alonso at Alfa Romeo. Gasly is back at AlphaTauri again. Oh no. Poor bloke. Can't catch a break, can he? Magnussen doesn't have a seat. Lance Stroll is Verstappen's teammate at McLaren. Tsunoda is left without a seat. Albon has been signed by Mercedes. That's Mercedes' first signing. Who else have they signed? Zhou has gone to Alpine. Hulkenberg's back at Aston Martin. He just loves the Silverstone team. Oscar Piastri's gone to McLaren, to Mercedes. Logan Sargent, an American driver and an American team. Love it. De Vries obviously left without a seat. Porsche and Doohan round out the grid. That is incredible. That is what we were hoping for in the first video. I suppose the big news here is that Lewis Hamilton has traded Mercedes for Haas, of all things, and Alonso's at Alfa Romeo. Those two can just battle it out at the back of the grid, and Verstappen can be stuck in the mid. Well, to be fair, Hamilton will be midfield at the start of this. McLaren are rubbish at the start of the game, so that's interesting. Leclerc and Perez to battle it out for the World Championship. That would be mightily interesting. Let's see what happens on test number 2. Let's see who is where on the grid, and it's literally exactly the same. Literally the same. There's something in the coding that if everyone's equal, they just end up at a certain place. Let's try again. Advance just a couple of days, because it only needs a couple of days to sort itself out. Let's see. Is it the same? Oh, we've got differences. We've got differences. Max Verstappen has gone to Alpine this time. Leclerc and Perez and Russell are still Red Bull and Ferrari. Sainz goes back to McLaren. Lewis Hamilton just seems to love Haas. Lando Norris stays at Aston Martin in this universe. Ocon and Alonso have found themselves buddying up again at Alfa Romeo. Bottas is at Ferrari. Daniel Ricciardo goes to Aston Martin. Gasly back to AlphaTauri. Stroll to McLaren. Zhou, it's mostly the same, although Hulkenberg this time ends up at AlphaTauri. Aston Martin signing Ricciardo this time means that Hulkenberg goes to AlphaTauri. Well, okay, that was interesting. So, headlines from this is that Lewis Hamilton loves Haas. Okay, so the second part of this test, this experiment, is going to involve locking in 8 of the top line F1 drivers as reserve roles. So Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso, Leclerc, Perez, Norris, Russell and Sainz are all going to be locked into massive contracts using the database editor as reserve drivers. We're then going to hop back in and sign 2 more Formula 2 drivers and then leave the game to decide the rest. Well, actually, we could have a little bit more fun and sign 2 F1 drivers and then see what it does there. Actually, we'll do F1 drivers rather than F2 drivers. So here's the editor. I'm going to load up ye old save, empty grid. Also, while I'm here, I'm just thinking that this could be a potential opportunity to see what happens if you make all the F1 drivers rated as low as possible. So we've moved Hamilton to Mercedes. I'm going to go through and put the rest of these drivers into their teams as reserve drivers and see what happens. Alright, everybody we wanted to place as a reserve is a reserve. They're on like $20 million a year. Their contracts are fairly long. They're 2 or 3 year contracts. So hopefully they don't start moving around. We've put George Russell in as the Williams reserve driver and Carlos Sainz is an Alpine. Sergio Perez is the AlphaTauri reserve driver. The other 5 are just a reserve driver for their normal team. So I'm going to jump back into the game and we'll fire it up, see what happens. Right, we're back in the game, and what I did forget to do in the editor was put 2 drivers into the Williams team, but we're just going to sign a couple of drivers, or at least attempt to. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just go and move a few people. This is really good to see that Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen, they're not interested in negotiating with us. the likes of Albon and Bottas are, because they don't have a drive. So let's try and sign... let's go for Gasly. Right, have we signed Pierre Gasly? We have not. So he just wants more money. Because their overall rating is way high. There we go, that's better. So we're going to have to pay a premium for them in terms of salary. It doesn't matter because we're not going to be playing any races. Go for Yuki Tsunoda and pair the two former AlphaTauri drivers together. So we don't want it to be starting next season. I'll do the contract. I'll come back to you when he decides to join us. First moment of truth then with Yuki Tsunoda, and he accepts the contract immediately. That's what we like to see. Not interested. Recently started a contract. Perfect. So hopefully this means that they are going to stay put and we're going to get a weird and wacky grid. Advanced a few days then, and let's see who's in the championship. So Sergio, so all these drivers are locked in as reserve drivers. Ocon is now at Ferrari. Ricciardo's gone to Mercedes. Bottas goes to Red Bull. Magnussen joins Mercedes. Stroll is at McLaren. Mick Schumacher's back on the grid with Alfa Romeo. Zhou Guanyu's at McLaren. Albon goes to Ferrari. De Vries and Hulkenberg join Aston Martin. Piastri's at... Piastri rejoins Alpine. Oh, Logan Sargent's in a Red Bull! What is this? This is insane. Giovinazzi's back on the grid with Alpine. Pourchaire gets promoted to Alfa Romeo. Lawson gets a race seat at AlphaTauri. Alongside Richard Verschoor, Alex Palou has ditched IndyCar and joined Haas and is partnered by Pietro Fittipaldi. Amazing. So I think what it's just doing there is taking the highest rated spare drivers. So again, the way around this would be to make as many drivers 99 rated as possible and see what happens. Alright, round 2. Let's see what happens this time. So Ocon, it's done, I think, precisely the same thing. Yeah, so it's coded in a way. I don't understand. Well, obviously for Sargent, I think it's just, has it just put the highest placed drivers? No, it can't have, because Bottas, that I was going to say, is it put the highest placed drivers in last season's championship in the best cars, but it kind of has, and it hasn't. So maybe it's just filling one space at a time, because the first team to have 2 drivers is McLaren. That doesn't make sense. How strange, but it's exactly the same. It is exactly the same. So let's try one more time. Let's see if anything different happens this time. No. So the first round was as fun as it got. It's just picking the drivers based on their overall rating. So what we could probably do is put as many drivers at 99 as possible. Yeah, because it's just, there's a limited market here in terms of who can drive for F1 teams and who's good enough as well in terms of the game seeing the overall ratings. So you see all the F3 guys can't race F1 cars. Most of the F2 guys can't. But then it's just choosing them by overall rating. So maybe what we do next time is put all of the F2 drivers at the same rating and then see who it picks. But yeah, that was interesting. It's thrown up some potential interesting stories and reunions. You've got Ricciardo in at Mercedes. What could he do there? Ocon at Ferrari. I think the 2 big talking points there are Oscar Piastri going back to Alpine. That probably would never happen. And Logan Sargent in at Red Bull alongside Bottas, who'd probably become a world champion in this universe. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed that little experiment, a little bit of fun, give the video a nice big thumbs up for me. Subscribe for more experiments and join the Discord. The link for that is also in the description. There's a video suggestion channel there, so go in there and suggest some more challenges or video series that you would like to see and potential live stream options as well. I'll see you very, very soon. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye for now.